So today we're starting a new unit, and in this unit we're going to look at some new types of numbers. We've been looking at fractions and decimals earlier this year, and today we're going to look at a type of number called an integer, and we're going to look how to compare integers to each other. So go ahead to next page, and we're going to take a look at the do now. We already did the do now together as a class, but just to remind you, some situations where you might find negative numbers. One, of course, is temperature. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then another one could be money. And I was thinking about another one, possibly in sports, and I was thinking about football. And it's possible that a team simply can't move the ball forward, and they keep getting tackled behind the line of scrimmage, so they can actually have a negative number of yards that they've gained. It doesn't happen too often, at the end of a game, but there are times during the game where a team will actually have a negative number of yards. All right, so let's take a look at some examples. Let's focus on temperature, which we've already talked a little bit about. And here's a table that displays the temperatures in North Dakota during one particular week. And it's very cold in North Dakota, as you can see how low the temperature got. So what I'm going to have you do is mark and label the temperatures on here, and mark and label them on the thermometer diagram here. So for example, I see that I have 8 degrees on Monday, and I know that's going to be right in here, right? There's 8. So you're going to do that for the rest of these temperatures, and we will see how you do. So go ahead and pause the video and put those in, and come back and see what the answers are. Go ahead and check out these answers, and notice that the higher number is -2. Well, the highest number is 8, of course, but then -2. And then as we get colder, the number itself gets larger, but it's negative. So a -8 is going to be colder than a -2. So that's a really important thing to think about. So over here, if you put the temperatures in order from the coldest to the warmest, the coldest temperature from up here is going to be -8. And then the next coldest temperature is -6, then -4, then -3, -2, 0, then 8. So the higher that you go on the thermometer, of course, the warmer the temperature, and the lower you go, the colder it's going to be. So again, a -8 is going to be colder than a +8, or even a -6 or a -4. All right, so there's a example using temperature. So let's explore these numbers a little bit further. I want to take a moment to talk about the different types of numbers that we have, and we can categorize them. And this table does a nice job of doing that. So natural numbers are just those counting numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple nothing complicated there. And then whole numbers are pretty much the same as the counting numbers or the natural numbers, but it includes 0. That's the only difference. Okay. But then what we're talking about today and later this week as well is the concept of integers. And that adds the concept of negative numbers to our system of numbers that we're talking about. So you have your whole numbers, you have 0, you have your negative whole numbers, and that makes up what we call our group of numbers called the integers. Now, rational numbers are basically fractions. They also include decimals that end, that don't go on and on forever. So that's really what we've been working with a lot of this year. And then there's a type of number called an irrational number, and we'll talk more about this later, but it's when you can't express it as an integer or a fraction, and the decimal goes on and on and on forever and ever and ever. And you may have heard of the number pi, some square roots. These are some numbers that you may or may not remember, but these are called irrational numbers, and again, we'll talk more about those later. And this picture shows how these different categories are contained within each other. And then, of course, the big category is real numbers, and that's pretty much every number that you can think of. And yes, there are some numbers that are not real, and you'll learn about those in high school. But for now, we're going to focus on integers. So we're going to do a little bit of practice on ordering integers, and I'm going to do the first one for you so you can see what you're supposed to do here. You're going to put an answer in each one of these boxes that makes sense with the number line. So I see in this first one 37 and 41, and I can figure out what numbers go in those boxes on the number line between those two. So of course I know that 38 is going to go in here, and 39 is going to go in there, and 40 is going to go in there. So see how I'm just using the order of the number line. And then 42, 43, 44 is going to go in that box. Down here, the number before 37, of course, is 36. And that is a pretty easy one. Where it gets a little complicated is when you start having the negative numbers. So let me do a couple for number 2, and I'm going to have you finish it up. So we know, of course, that 2 is going to go in here. But what's the first negative number to the left of 0? And that's going to be negative 1. And the next number to the left of negative 1 is negative 2. All right, I'm going to have you do the rest of these, numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6. Shouldn't take too long, so pause the video and do these problems, and then you can come back and see how you did. Go ahead and check out your answers, and if your answers don't match, then see if you can figure out why the answers are what you see here. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is try to translate some words into positive or negative integers. So go ahead and turn the page. And I'm going to do the first one with you, and then you're going to do the rest of these pretty quickly. So the directions are: read the following situations and write an integer that would represent the situation. So here we have the temperature is 9 degrees below 0. Now, of course, the key point here is below 0. So we know that below 0 is going to indicate a negative number. So our answer is negative 9. Now sometimes these answers will be positive and sometimes these will be negative. That's going to be your job to figure that out. So go ahead and pause the video, do 2, 3, and 4 real quickly, and then come back and see how you did. Alright, go ahead and check your answers and make sure you see why some of these are positive and some of these are negative. Let me just note that for number 2, this is positive because when you deposit $20, that means you're adding it to your savings. That's $20 that you have in your savings in addition to what you did before. But when you owe money, that means you have a negative amount of money. That's money that you don't have, that as soon as you get $20, you're going to have to give it to somebody else. So owing is usually a negative situation. All right, so go ahead and turn to the next page. Here are a few more sentences I want you to translate. Again, go ahead and stop the video and do 5, 6, 7, and 8 and come back and check how you did. Alright, go ahead and check out these answers and you can see why some are negative and some are positive. Again, there are some keywords that tell you if they are negative or positive. And note that when it's positive, you don't actually have to write a positive in front of the 7. You can just write the integer by itself. It's only when it's negative do you have to add a special symbol, the negative symbol. Alright, go ahead and turn to the next page, please. What we're going to talk about next is how to compare integers using mathematical symbols. So if I want to compare two numbers, I'm going to plot them on a number line, and then to compare them, I know that the furthest number to the right is the greater number. Okay? I'm going to say that again. If you plot two numbers on a number line, the number furthest to the right is greater. And then once you decide that, you have to choose which symbol to use. And by symbol, I'm talking about a greater than or less than symbol. And how do I know which direction or which one to use? Well, you choose which sign belongs in the box. Remember, the sign opens up to the larger number. Okay, so this goes in your notes. The sign opens up to the larger number. So we always often use an alligator to help us remember this, that the alligator has its mouth open up to the larger number. So that's one way you might want to think about it. So let's do a couple of examples, and I'm going to let you try a couple on your own. So here I have, I'm trying to compare -4 and 5. So I plot them on the line, and I plotted the -4, but where is the 5 going to be? Well, here's 0, so I got to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 5's going to go there. And clearly the 5 is to the right of -4, so that means 5 is greater, so my symbol has to open up to the 5. And the way we read this is -4 is less than 5. You could also say 5 is greater than -4. Either way is fine. Alright, let's do number 2 real quickly. So I'm comparing -6 and 3. I need to plot the -6. I already plotted the 3. And I always try to find 0. So this is 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I know that we have 0 here. And then that helps me find the -6, because then I have -1 -2, -3, -4, -5, and then -6 is going to go there. Alright, so clearly the 3 is to the right of -6, so 3 is greater. So my symbol is going to look like that, where it's opening up to the larger number. So again, I say -6 is less than 3, or 3 is greater than -6. Either one is fine. Alright, what I'd like you to do is try the rest of these, 3 through 7. Pause the video and check back and see how you did. Alright, go ahead and check your answers. Again, noting that the larger number opens up the symbol. The symbol opens up to the larger number. So it's in different directions for some of these, and again, think about which of these numbers is larger. It's a little trickier with the negative ones. Remember, -3 is larger than -7 because it's to the right of -7 on the number line. Again, opens up to the larger number. Alright, go ahead and turn to the next page, please. Alright, very quickly, go ahead and place these numbers on the number line. Pause the video, it should just take a few seconds to do this, and then come back and check your answers. Alright, go ahead and check these out. Make sure you got these correct. Again, the idea is that I just want you to be able to order these integers, know where they go on the number line. Alright, last part is to do the video assessment, so go ahead and turn the page. On the paper that I provide to you, I just want you to quickly do these 4 problems and put the correct symbol in. On your paper, please write the full sentence. Okay, don't just give me the symbol. I want the full sentence written out with the numbers and the symbol. And I would recommend you doing a number line as well, but that's not, you don't have to do that, but if you do, that might help you make sure you get the answer correct. So go ahead and do the video assessment, and once you complete that, turn that page into me, and then you can start the homework if you finish this.